As one might expect, American soldiers in Vietnam experienced many difficulties, which I've broken down into two categories: psychological and physical. One of the most important psychological difficulties that the American soldiers experienced was a conflict of political loyalty. Experiences of the American troops in Vietnam made them ask the question, "Why am I fighting?" To which, surprisingly, many of the troops had no answer. Many of our soldiers began considering that our involvement in the war was altogether unnecessary, leading them to an extreme moral crossroads. Another important psychological difficulty of American soldiers to note was the inability of American soldiers to effectively navigate the Vietnamese terrain. After all, they weren't at all the home team or even well versed in the geography of the country. For example, a trained guerrilla warrior would have a much easier time planning and executing an attack on American forces than the other way around. American soldiers also experienced severe frustration because the guerrilla warriors and northern Vietnamese soldiers did not abide by the standard codes or rules of war. Physical difficulties were boundless for the American troops. An important physical obstacle for Americans in Vietnam was a very harsh and uncompromising terrain, namely forests. Another very problematic obstacle for Americans was the extremely rough Vietnamese climate that differed vastly from America's. It is far more hot and humid in Vietnam than it is here in America, and our soldiers simply were not prepared for this intense climate shift, which ultimately proved detrimental to our plans. The mercilessness of the guerrilla warriors also presented many issues for American soldiers fighting in Vietnam.